Don't Eat the Mailman co-host Michelle here, and since I don't feel like waiting for Zach to do this video, I'm going to do it by myself. We just met Heather Brewer, the author and creator of The Chronicles of Vladimir Todd, which is this book series about a teen vampire, pretty much, who's complete outcast, only has a few friends, has a cool uncle, and there's a huge big plot twister thing in the end that you just won't believe. We were going to interview her for our web show, but sadly she had to decline because she was sick, which is completely understandable, but still, meh. But hopefully one day she sees this and knows how amazing she is and how honored we were to meet her and get to talk to her and become friends with her and just have an awesome time in general. We had our book signed, we had pictures taken with her, and I'm going to show you a few clips of her speech that she gave at the beginning of the book signing. So that's all going to be for your enjoyment, and you cannot believe how excited we were when we first saw her. I am so grateful and honored that I got to be in her presence and actually hug her. So hopefully you will enjoy that, and if you're watching this, Heather, I love you. Just in general, I love you. Thank you so much for writing the book series. Just, you're amazing in general. I'm so happy that you're on the New York Times bestseller list again, even when the book's only been out for a week now. It's amazing. Congratulations. And here we are with a few clips from her speech. Where are we, Lindsay?
Barnes and Noble.
And who are we gonna meet?
This chick.
Yeah.
We're gonna meet Heather Brewer.
Oh, there she is.
What?
Heather Brewer.
Woo!
Now first I have to let you know that Auntie Heather has the plague. Okay? It's a terrible cold. And I have a cough drop and I have some tea, but I do feel like I'm getting over it. I feel like I'm getting caught up on my rest and everything, so I will try to keep my speech a little limited because otherwise I might end up in a horrible coughing fit and that would just be bad for all of us. So we probably will move pretty quickly into the signing. But I want to tell you a few things about me and then we're going to do some Q&A. So if you guys have any ideas for questions, I want you to start thinking of them now so that you have something to ask when we get to the Q&A. And when it comes to the questions, remember that they can't be spoiler revealing questions. So all those people that have read 12th grade kills already, how many of you are there? Yeah. You can't ask me why, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. Don't ask me why, because I'm not going to tell you anyway. So anyway, I feel like I'm at a point where I know you guys pretty well. And I feel like you know me too. But a few things you might not know about me. I come from a very small town in Michigan. Population 814 people. I told you it was small. No, the worst part was not coming from a very small town. The worst part was that I was the least popular person in this town. I don't just mean I was the least popular person in my school. I was that too. I was the least popular person in the town. The adults hated me too. It's true. I would walk by and they'd whisper, you know? They'd glare at me too. And when I was in school, I was bullied ever since kindergarten. I was pinched, punched, kicked, spit on every single day. Had things written on my notebook, shoved into lockers. School was a living hell for me. I was bullied. And back then we didn't have any kind of anti-bullying programs at all. So I used to go somewhere magical. Somewhere made of bully kryptonite. It was called the library. And it was awesome because I'd go there and I don't know if the bullies just didn't know where it was, they weren't smart enough to figure it out, or if it was just because the librarians are not going to put up with that nonsense. But I'd go there and I'd read books. And I'd devour books. I'd read book after book after book about all different kinds of things. And when I was 12 years old, the librarian handed me a book called Carrie by Stephen King. If you like the dark stuff and you haven't read Carrie, read it. If you like books about outcasts, and I'm assuming because you're here today you do, you have to read Carrie because it's like the ultimate outcast book. But I'll never forget it. I had just finished reading it and I closed the book and it was the first time I said this out loud. I said, that's what I want to be. I want to be an author. I was so excited. I finally found my calling. I was 12, so you know it took me a while to find what I wanted to be for the rest of my life. I ran home to my mom and my dad, and I said, I know what I want to be. I know what I want to do. I want to be an author. And they said, well, you can't. You can't be an author. Authors are people with trust funds. That's a hobby for rich people. You've got to get your feet on the ground, your head out of the clouds, and get a real job. Now, I didn't know what a real job was. It sounded awful. I wanted nothing to do with that. So I went to my librarian, I went to my teachers, and I said, I know what I want to do. I know what I want to be. I want to be an author. And they said, oh, Heather, that's just not realistic. You can't be an author. You can't. And so I let it go for a very long time. Now, I have always written. I mean, I think I was as young as 5, the first time I wrote a poem or a short story. And I continued to write, but I kept it a secret. It was my dark secret because it was something silly that I liked to do that I couldn't do for a real job. And so I kept writing. I wrote story after story after story, but I never talked about it. I never told anyone. And then life went on. I got married. I had kids. My daughter Alex was about ready to start kindergarten. And I turned to my husband and said, what am I going to do? I have to get a job. I have no college education. I have no drive to do, well, let's be honest, anything. What am I going to do? So he asked me a great question. He said, if you could do anything and money didn't matter, what would you do? And I said, well, I'd be an author. He said, then 3 words. 3 words that changed my life forever. Simply, he said, so be one. Now, my reaction at the time was something like this. So be one, you silly man. You have no idea what you're talking about. You can't just be an author. Authors are people with trust funds, right? So then I realized what I was doing. I was telling myself no, the way that everyone in my life had been telling me no. It took one person to believe in me. It took one person to tell me it's okay to try. It took one person to say yes. And today I want to be that one person for you. Whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want to be. You want to be a football star, you want to be an artist, you want to be a writer, you want to be a doctor, whatever it is, do it. Be it. Because you can. A lot of people like throwing around pretty things, like you can do anything you put your mind to. But the really messed up thing is they're right. You can. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to follow your dreams. But you can do it, and you can make it. I know. I came from a dirt poor family on welfare in a nowhere town where everybody picked on me and told me no. And I stand before you a New York Times bestseller because I wouldn't take no for an answer. So don't you either. Now, on to the question portion so Auntie doesn't ruin her voice. I have 2 rules for questions. There's the first one, which I think is pretty obvious. Rule number 1, no spoilers. If the question you want to ask potentially contains a spoiler, please hold on to it. Ask me quietly as you're going through the signing line so that we don't ruin the fun for anybody that hasn't read as far as you have in the series. Number 2, if you don't ask a question, I get to pick who asks the next question. This is where everybody all looks nervous and awkward, like, man, she said we're supposed to be thinking of questions, and I wasn't. I was thinking of that burrito I was going to eat. So, now's the time to like quick and scramble like the final is tomorrow and come up with those questions because I've only had to do it once before, but I will do it again. So, who wants to go first?
She's even got me so obsessed with the books that I even drew some stuff. These are also on my DeviantArt page, but I drew the cover of 10th grade Bleeds. Hopefully you can see this pretty good. If not, then I'll put the link to it. And I also did one for 8th grade Bites. These things took me forever, but I'm so gosh darn proud of them. And I hope, again, that Auntie Heather is seeing this. So, thanks for putting up with my rant, and thanks for being awesome. Auntie Heather. Congratulations.